Okay, for today's vocabulary, this is from the article from the New York Times about the political battle over using the land in Alaska for drilling and energy. So, on page 2, number 1, the nub of something. Actually, I think normally it's called the nub of the matter, if I'm correct. The nub of the matter is like, it's the heart of the matter, or the basic situation, the gist of the matter, the point. Number 2, pristine. Pristine is a great way that we use to describe a place that is still very beautiful and perfect. Yeah, especially like nature. You know, like nowadays when you travel, is there a place you can travel to that no one goes to? Right?
Yeah.
People travel everywhere. So when you find somewhere, the DMZ, yeah, actually that's true. Right in the DMZ, it's pristine. Yeah, it's untouched.
DMZ.
Wow, you made a good example. You should take my job. Like,
I cannot speak English.
You're doing fine. You're doing fine. Number 3, acutely. Have you ever heard of the word acute? Usually means like very small. Not minor, just very small. So, for example, in medical terms, when you have, do you guys know what bronchitis? The bronchial tubes, they go from your throat to your lungs. It connects your basically for your breathing. It can get sick. We call that bronchitis. If you get really sick, it's bronchitis. If it's just a little bit, we call that acute bronchitis, like a small illness, like just a little bit. So that's the medical way. If you're talking about math, an angle, like in a triangle, like an acute angle is less than 90 degrees. So it's a little bit tight, a little bit small. When we say that someone is acutely aware of something, that's a way of expressing that someone is very sharp. They understand something, the details of something, they're very perceptive to something, and they don't need much explanation. They probably understand right away. Number 4, incongruous. That's a little bit hard to say, I would think. Incongruous. It's actually, I originally learned this word from math. Yeah, it's actually just to say that something is not even, or not, just basically not even, or not equal. So when you use it, if you use it as like a term, then, or as like in a statement or something, you're basically saying that two things don't agree. They are misaligned. They have, they basically see at different levels. Do you guys know that expression, to see it from a different level? So sometimes we say we see eye to eye with each other if we agree, but when people disagree, they don't see eye to eye with each other, they see at different levels. So that's incongruous. You just, yeah. Number 5, permafrost. Yeah, so permafrost, so I'm sure you know the word frost, right? It means like something that's like frozen a little bit. Perma, I guess it comes from the word permanent. Don't quote me on that. But perma, I think, is from permanent, I'm not sure. I'm not a geologist. But anyways, permafrost is basically the land, the earth, the soil, the dirt, all of that's frozen completely. So, when you walk outside and you're walking on dirt, that's just normal soil. But in Alaska or in Siberia, that's permafrost because all of that soil is completely frozen. So it's called permafrost. And it's frozen at all times. So it never melts, or if it does melt, it hasn't melted for thousands and thousands of years. So it's basically permanently frozen. Yeah. Again, don't quote me on that. I'm not a I'm not a I'm not a geologist. I'm not a scientist.
Yes.
And last, number 6, microcosm. Microcosm is basically a very small and unique representation of something. So, for example, public schools. If I go to a public school, if I visit a public school, like elementary school in Korea, like in my town, I will find that it's a representation of most public schools in Korea, because the public school system has to be like the same program basically. There's going to be a lot of schools that have very like similar programs or construction or anything like that. We could kind of say the same about the U.S., except the schools are not the same by state. So if I went to visit a public school in Texas, like in my town, that public school would be a representation or a microcosm of the public schools in Texas in general. So it's kind of like a small but general representation of something. And that's our vocabulary.